Good morning. I wanted to make this quick video today because today is the day that the 32 CFR Part 70 final rule has been released by the DoD. So today is October 15th, 2024. We have 60 days before it becomes effective, putting that on December 16th. So I wanted to take a few minutes today to talk about what we're seeing in this final rule and where there were some changes and highlights that we think you need to know about. So my name is Kelly Hood. I'm with Optic Cyber Solutions. We are a registered practitioner organization. I want to take a minute to do a quick highlight of what is in this final rule, and then over the coming weeks we'll have some more materials digging into the weeds where I'm sure Tom Conkle will provide a lot more information. But for today, we wanted to provide a quick overview. And the first thing I wanted to just point out is that there are two rules. So the one that everybody is so excited about this week is the 32 CFR. This is the program rule setting the expectations for the program and meaning that companies can now actually be assessed. And like I mentioned a minute ago, that will become effective on December 16th, meaning that as of that date, companies can be assessed to get their CMMC certification. There is still the 48 CFR rule that we're expecting in Q1, Q2 of 2025 that establishes the contractual requirements, and that's what says you can start putting this in your contracts, and then we'll see from there the phase rollout begin. But as we're already seeing, contractors, primes and large DoD contractors are already getting these requirements and passing them down to their subs. So we will be seeing these requirements much sooner, even if the 48 CFR hasn't been released. So a little bit on that phased rollout, there was a tweak to phase 1, which was previously 6 months. Now it's a year. So now all the phases are a year for that phased rollout, giving a little bit of extra time. But as we all know, it's really not enough time to actually get the requirements in place, but it is giving time for them to start showing up in contracts if your primes are not already asking. But we can all rest easy that some things stayed the same. With the 3 levels in the program, we are still seeing the level 1, 2, and 3 with the requirements highlighted here tied back to NIST SP 171 Rev 2. So that part is not changing, nor is the assessment methodology. We're still seeing the level 1 self-assessments, level 2 with the bifurcation, with some self-assessments being allowed, and but mostly we're expecting the C3PAO assessments to be required at level 2, and then level 3 needing that DIPCAC assessment. So what do we need to do about it today? I mean, we still need to implement the security requirements. Those have not changed, and we know that can take upwards of 12 to 18 months to get in place. So just because the timeline changed a little bit, it's not enough time to wait until the requirement, till it starts showing contracts to get it in place. We still need to have our SSP and all of our supporting artifacts to be able to provide that objective evidence once the C3PAO comes, if we're a level 2, needing to be a level 2 certified. We can have a POAM. One tweak that was made is now we do have a little bit more flexibility with the POAM, where upon contract award, we can get a conditional certification for up to 180 days. Now, that's not something we want to rely on, but it is a little bit of they broadened that a little bit and gave a little bit of wiggle room. Also, one of the things they provided some clarity on was around VDIs and how they can be out of scope. If you are only transmitting information using your keyboard, mouse, and camera, then that asset can be out of scope as long as it is not storing or processing any CUI information. One of the other bigger changes that everybody is talking about right now that I wanted to highlight is the ESP responsibilities. So the external service providers, these are our MSPs, MSSPs, they are no longer required to get a certification themselves if they do not process, store, or transmit CUI. If they only have the security protection data, they're no longer have to go through their own CMMC assessment. But they will still have to support the organization seeking assessment, or OSA, in getting their certificate as appropriate. So any requirements that they're supporting, they'll have to contribute to those conversations, provide supporting artifacts and evidence to make sure the OSA can get what they needed, but they don't necessarily need their own certification. They can voluntarily become assessed if they have. It might be, it might make sense if you have a whole lot of DoD contractors you're supporting as an MSP. It might be more effective and more time effective to go ahead and get that certification. But if you just have a few, there is now an opportunity to not actually have to get certified. There's also some additional clarity around CSPs, and they changed some of the language where if you only have security protection data, that SPD again, you no longer need to go through the FedRAMP process. So another big change here. So to step back a little bit and talk about the security protection assets in general, there was some additional clarity provided here that on what a security protection asset actually is and what falls into that category. So if you have a server storing configurations or you're managing users' passwords, you're a security protection asset as long as you're not storing, processing, or transmitting CUI then that system is an SPA, security protection asset, and that these assets now only need to be assessed against the requirements that they are fulfilling for the OSA. The OSA does need to make sure that all these requirements are in place, but there is a little bit of we'll say flexibility that the certifier no longer has to assess against all of them, but it is still expected that they will all be in place by the OSA. So a little bit of wiggle room, but it will be interesting to see how that rolls out in practice. So I know this is a quick overview, but I wanted to get some information out there. There's a ton of information floating around right now. Everybody is combing through the document, trying to read through the details. Please let me know if you have any questions. We're still going through it, trying to catalog all the information, looking at how to get some resources out to help you all. And please feel free to, let me know in the meantime if you have questions. Reach out if your organization is looking for help, if you need an RPO to help you prepare for CMMC. Now that we're seeing real movement, the final rule is out there. We know when the effective date is going to be. Please feel free to reach out on LinkedIn, shoot me an email. I'd be happy to help you out as we move towards CMMC and make sure you're prepared for certification. Thanks so much. Optic Cyber Solutions strives to help organizations identify and address their blind spots through our assessment, implementation, and advising services. For more information about Optic Cyber Solutions and our services, reach out at info@opticcyber.com or check out our website at opticcyber.com.